Okay, hi y'all. Once again, this is very informal, but welcome to NACMA Academy session 6. Not many participants like in the past, but we'll still make sure to get some good content out of it. And then you can ask them both questions as you please, and it can be either after or whenever you feel like it. I'll ask them some starting questions just to get the conversation going. But of course, if you guys have any additional questions, please feel free to ask. In the beginning, it says like resumes and work-life balance. That was a typo on my part, but I'm sure John and Mathis won't not answer the question. So if you do have resume questions, feel free to ask. But we're going to talk about work-life balance in the beginning. So don't feel like you attended the wrong session. I just had a hiccup and they're going to cover them for me. So yeah, we'll start off with John. Please introduce yourself, a little about yourself, and then we'll move on to Mathis.
Good. Hi, everyone. John Cornfield. I'm the manager of marketing and game promotion here at Georgetown University. Uh, been here for about 4 months now. Previously spent 2.5 years over in Wisconsin as an assistant director over there. And then before that, spent time at the University of Maryland. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you.
Cool. Yeah. My name is Mathis Brewington. I'm the Associate Director of Marketing here at the University of Oregon. Um, I'm from Greenwood, South Carolina. I've had the privilege to work as an undergraduate student at Clemson. I work as a coordinator for a year at Wake Forest. I was a GA at Georgia Southern. I've been at Oregon for almost 2 years now, so like a year and some change. But yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Okay, so starting off with work-life balance, what do you remember as the biggest shift when you started focusing on your work-life balance?
Yeah, I can talk. I would say so about a year ago or so, probably over a year ago now. When I was at Wisconsin before Lala got there, we were severely short-staffed. We only had 3 of the 5 people who typically make up our full staff, and I was like running around like a headless chicken, just trying to like cover all these events, and it was awful. And I remember I got home one day and I was just like, okay, yeah, this is just not even like this can't keep going. So I was like, okay, what else? Like, what can I do to kind of fix that? So I started just like looking around, just saying like, okay, what are people doing that's like working? And for me, I just found that like just getting into a routine of like something to look forward to on a consistent basis is something that really works for me. Um, like I was always a firm believer of like having like some big event to go look forward to, or some big, or like some travel or whatnot. But like the problem with that, like you can only plan those every like 3 to 4 months. So like yeah, like I had something in 3 months, but like for 2 months on end, I like had nothing that I was like quote unquote looking forward to. So I started looking for more things that were on like a weekly basis. So like literally something as simple as just like I know every Monday night now, like I'm gonna go to like a golf simulator. And it's just like my own time to just yeah, okay, you don't have to judge me, Lala, geez. It's just like my time where I know like I'm just gonna disconnect from like everything and just like focus on something like I truly enjoy. And that really did turn the tide for me a lot. And like it just getting into just having something to look forward to each week just kind of motivated me a little extra.
Yeah. One, that's cool. You go to a golf simulator all the time. That's pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of jealous. I will say, for me, I think it's pretty similar. I think like when I was a GA, you like look around and you're like having to do work all day, and then right afterwards you're having to do homework and then do events. It's a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but I think a lot like John said, I think the biggest thing is like finding something to look forward to or just figuring out things that you want to prioritize. For me, like stuff I want to prioritize was talking to like my family or like working out or anything like that. So that's something like every day that I would consistently try to do. And like on a day-to-day basis, that like really helped me out. Like I'd go and be like, all right, I'm gonna make sure I get my workout in for the day, or I'm gonna call my mom or my dad for 15 or 20 minutes for a little bit. And that stuff was huge for me. And it really helped me through all the busy times. And so that when I did have more time that opened up, like when you're not in season working a million events that we know that we do, like it was something that like kind of kept you going throughout. But that was I would say that's something that's super big for me that helped me along, like when I got really busy.
This relates to what Mathis said, and this might sound a little brutal, but I actually assigned each of my siblings a day of the week where I call them. I call my parents every day, but I tend to like not talk to my siblings as much. And so I assign them each a day, and it has honestly worked out more. I know about more about them now than I have in the past few years. And so everyone's different, but I totally support calling your family or assigning them a day. I mean, you can talk on any day, but like I always know like I'm calling this sister on this day. Okay. What has been one of the most important lessons you learned about work-life balance?
Yeah, I can. John's gonna be over first every time. I think it's about being intentional with your time. I think knowing that like knowing what you want to do during the workday and then knowing what you want to do once work is over and just like going in through the day and being like, I need to get XYZ done. And a lot of stuff gets thrown at you throughout the day. Like Lord knows that you have a plan going in and something always pops up. But I think it's still trying to like get back to your center and being like, okay, I need to get this done so that I'm set up for whatever events I've got going forward or whatever else is on your timeline. And then kind of same afterwards, being like, all right, I got 2 hours before this happens. Like, let me go do whatever I want to do. Let me go eat. Like, again, prioritize food, guys, for real. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but please do that. But yeah, just making sure you prioritize all the right things and just being intentional about your time. Like, it really is huge, I promise you.
Yeah, I mean that was like the main thing for sure. And like even if it's just like something as small as just like, okay, I know I'm gonna take a 30-minute break, like at some point, just to kind of just like so like for example, one thing that I've always done that was I've always been proud of, which a lot is gonna find funny, is like I'm always like very specific about like every day I'm taking my lunch break. Like I'm just going like for the most part, like I just try to do by myself because then this way like it's just like my second to just be like okay, like I just had like 3 to 4 hours of like people, like meetings and all that, and like all the craziness in the world. And it's just like a chance for me to just like disconnect a little bit, and just like kind of like focus on myself again. And just so then just when I go back for the afternoon, I'm like, I feel like I'm energized again. And like, cause I've noticed when I don't do that, it's like by the time like even like 2 or 3 o'clock hits, I'm just like, good God. So it's like even when you just do small things like that, even if it takes up a little more time than you would hope, like you're just so much more efficient in my opinion. Which again, that's important. And like another thing is like even if it's like one thing I didn't mention before is I'm getting my MBA also. So like I would be up until like 1, 2 a.m. doing homework, and then I would wake up at like 6 a.m. I'd be like groggy and like useless, honestly. And I was like, yeah, this is again not useful for anybody. So like even just prioritizing that and just like making sure like just find time to sleep because like especially when you're in those early grind days, it feels like you probably can't. Um, but like it makes you way more efficient and honestly you do a better job in a quicker time manner.
Yeah, I would have to second all that. Again, it sounds super simple, but please prioritize the basics in your life. The eating, the sleeping, like the calling your family, like that stuff's huge. Like I think everyone gets a habit of being like, all right, like I can save an hour by not eating lunch, or I can save an hour by staying up a little later. In the long run, man, I promise you, it wears you down more than it helps you. So like just be consistent and like I think keep doing the things that you know like are good for you. Like and everyone's good for you is different. Like not everyone needs 8 hours of sleep, but if you know you need 8 hours of sleep, find time to get your 8 hours. Like, like, okay, maybe working out for you, it looks like walking for 30 minutes and it's not lifting for an hour and a half. Cool. Like, make sure you find the time to do that. I think is the big thing.
Can you guys talk about how like your institutions or organizations play in your work-life balance? Like, have you seen institutions implement work from home days, or is there anything that your institutions are pushing to like really endorse the message of an important, like healthy work-life balance?
Yeah, I would say, I like John, my boss, Darren, really makes us take our lunch. He's like, all right, y'all have to take a 12. Like, he like makes, I don't say make is a strong word, but he's like, all right, make sure y'all block off time on y'all's calendar every day where you can take lunch. And he does that like religiously. Like at 12 to 1, he doesn't accept any meetings in that time frame. That's like his personal time to go eat, to go take his time, do whatever he wants to do. That's something he blocks off and he encourages us to do it. Today, I got the privilege to be at home because we had a spring game on Saturday. Yeah, it honestly felt like the perfect thing to come talk about this. I was like, that's super cool. I get to come talk about work-life balance. I get to do it from home. But yeah, my bosses are super good about if we're super busy, like, and we have a loaded weekend with baseball and football or basketball or whatever you got going on back to back days, they're pretty cool about being like, all right, like, let's take a Monday to either in the morning or like the whole day and be like, all right, regroup, get your life together, whether that's go to the bank or wash your car or whatever that looks like, give you a chance to catch up on that stuff because you don't always get to do all that. But yeah, I would say my staff right now has been really, really great about doing it. I think that's super huge is whether there's a buy-in. But I think even if there isn't a buy-in, because not every person thinks that way, and not every person's going to be super lenient about having giving you that time. I think important part is advocating for yourself to at least again do the basics, like that you feel like you're getting enough sleep and eating and getting to work out or to call your family. Like that stuff's huge. So I would say make sure y'all advocate for yourselves if you're ever in a situation that you don't feel that it's important because that's just an appropriate boundary just to live life. That's not even a crazy request to be honest. So
Yeah, I mean, just to go off that, like that was like the biggest learning curve for me is like I was always like afraid of being of like just even bringing it up just because I was like, oh, I don't want them to think I'm lazy or like whatever. Um, People like they're human. Like it's that like I remember like sitting there one day and going like they're not gonna like rip my head off because I'm just like, hey, I feel like worn out. Like what can we do? So like yeah, just talking with your supervisor because I mean obviously every situation different, every school different. So it can be a little tough to get like something like that's going to be the same everywhere, but like just talking to your supervisor is like super important. Like my boss, this is going to sound bizarre, but my boss lives in Connecticut and we're obviously in DC. So like he's just like, yeah, obviously work from home is perfectly fine whenever we need it because that's what he's doing 90% of the time anyway. So yeah, that's something that's really, really big for us. It just I would also just talk to people because at the end of the day, especially like I mean this industry, like people get it because at some point they were in your shoes and they know what it's like. And I feel like the majority of the people that I've talked to want to find a way to make it better, not worse. So definitely worth just talking to the supervisors.
If you have the option to do a work from home day or just work from home in general, I think you should definitely capitalize on it. But I think people view work from home in different ways. I think people like work from home because they feel like they get the most work done there, and that helps a balance of like finishing early. For me personally, like work-life balance means for working from home, I rarely do it because I want my home just to be my home and I want my office just to be my office. And so I don't think there's a poor way to look at either option, but just deciphering which one you prefer, and then keeping that consistent as well. What are common frustrations you experience with work-life balance?
Sorry, can you say that again?
What are common frustrations you experience with work-life balance?
Yeah, I think mine is like I said when I have a plan and then it don't that's like go according to plan, which I think is pretty natural. I think for you to like, all right, I'm gonna go home and do this. Like we were at the spring game the other day, and I was supposed to take one of our football players over to the baseball game, which happened like an hour after the end of the game to have him throw the first pitch. And then like I was like, cool, after I do that, I get to go home and do my thing. Like baseball is not my responsibility. I'll help where I can. But once I got over there, like an issue arises and then you're there for a lot longer than you think you're supposed to be. And I think like I think again, that's why I say being intentional about your time, because I mean like that stuff is naturally gonna happen. So I think reacting calm, being all right, cool, let me just handle this and then just handle the best you can and just move on. I think like I think emotionally it's frustrating because you know you're like, oh, I wanted to go home. I had this thing. I think while a lot of people stress communication, like about in a workplace, like make sure you communicate with your peers, coworkers, coaches, up and down the scale, other interns, what it looks like for you. Like I think we really emphasize that, but I think communication in your personal life is huge. So like if I'm running late because I had something that pops up, like, you know, text whoever you're supposed to meet up with, because I think that really helps your balance and let them know that, hey, like I'm busy, like you know, but like I'm gonna be there and give them a realistic timeline on when you're gonna show up. Like even communication in your personal life is huge. So I would just emphasize that when frustrating things pop up, just make sure you have um, also someone to like, I think, talk to about it. Because again, it's going to be natural no matter what job you take, whether that's sports or not sports or whatever it looks like you're going to have moments where you get frustrated. So I think again, it's just about being calm and having the right process to help you when you get frustrated, and having the right people to support you. I think that's probably the biggest thing, at least for me.
Yeah, for me, I think it's honestly like with myself because I over or not overcommit, but like I like when people ask for help, like if it's something I'm like I know I don't like I can say no and like there's no repercussions, like I'll still say yes. Even if like I know it's like my time off or whatnot. Which is like a boundary like that I'm definitely working on. And also like I definitely like just I'm someone who wants to like try a lot of different things and much as possible. So like even when I'm doing all like when we're in season and I'm in school, like I'll still like try to book all these random things at night, whether it be with, like with friends or just like to try a new restaurant or whatnot, or do whatever in DC. And like my schedules get so packed to the point where I get home, I'm just like, good God, I'm dead. So I think yeah, it's more with myself and just trying to find that like fine line of how to um do more stuff, but like not also just like burn myself out in the process.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're at the point where I'm going to open it to you guys if you guys have any questions. Don't feel like it has to just be work-life balance related. It can be work-life balance related, but like once again, since we have such an intimate group today, it could honestly be about anything. I would say use them as a resource as much as possible right now, because this is probably going to be one of the good one-to-one sessions that you're able to have. So yeah, if you any of you guys have any questions. Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so how would you go about asking for time off? Like, I have a couple of weddings coming up over the summer, and I am just a GA, but like, it's kind of time that I want off. It's like my high school friends are getting married, like my close cousin. So, how would you go about asking for time off? Because I've been told I kind of like demand things, and I think it's kind of the voice and tone I use. So, advice, tips on that aspect.
I would like I would do it as early as possible. So like because the longer you wait, the shorter notice. I don't know why I'd go away thumbs up. Um, yeah, the shorter notice you get, like the more likely like you'll get like a negative reaction. But yeah, like just being like, hey, there's a couple weddings that are like really important to me. Are they conflicting with like events or is it?
They're not. It's just I'm in charge of like kids club over the summer, so we have a couple like community events that we want to try and table at and go to that kind
Yeah.
of on Saturdays, weekends.
My suggestion would then be like I would say like if like you're required to like physically be somewhere, I would see if like there's a contingency plan to like somebody who can kind of help you. Like talk to them and see if like they can help out in any way. Like even if it like just somebody who may not typically do it, just talk to them. Maybe like you're close to somebody in the department. Or just like again talk to your boss to say, hey, like if these weddings are really important to you, is there like any way we can work it out? Because there's a chance your boss might have some suggestions on moving forward. I would just the way I would just say it, just like trying to find a solution. Don't just be like peace, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, I would second. I would say like it's cool you like to take your time off. I think you just want to be able to set your people up in the best way that you can, like for whenever you are gone. So like just make sure you have honest conversations about what needs to get done, how you can help them while you're gone. And the more you are on the front end, like whenever they go somewhere, like they would do the same instead of just leaving you. I think it's like one of those relationships where you just if you help them now to help you, then vice versa later. So yeah, I'll kind of just second that. Just I think you said something about like how to address it. I think more specifically, I think when you talk to him, I think you go in with a plan of like what you want to say. I think roughly. I think like you don't go in unsure of what you're asking for and the dates you're asking for. Like make sure you know all your dates so when you're gone. If you know your travel, cool. If you don't, communicate that. I would say like have that pretty planned out. And I think approaching the conversation in a conversational way, I think instead of a less, hey, I'm doing this, I think helps. Which is why I will say, like, it's your time. Like you can take it off for sure. Like, I'm not to tell you that it's not your time. It is your time and you're owed that time because you work it, right? But I think again, and with if you're asking about delivery, I think delivery is just make it more conversational tone and make sure that you get your point across. And I say stay committed to being like, I'm going to take this time off. But again, like I said, just make it more conversational.
I have two questions. One, are all these weddings in the summer? And then 2, have you booked your travels yet?
Yes, they're all in the summer, and my college is close to home, so home's only like 2.5 hours away. So I'd just be traveling like that Friday afternoon or Saturday. For
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, I'm not like flying anywhere or anything yet.
What I did for like all of my summer vacation is probably mid-April. I gave all the dates for like the next 3 months or like next 4 months that I knew like I wanted off or was requesting off. That way I could show like one, I have the intention to take these days off, but then 2, I will also be working all these other days. So if those kids club events are already planned, or maybe they're not planned just yet with that finalized date, you can be like, hey, like maybe we can do it on this date, maybe we can do it on this date, and vice versa. That way you can show like what you're working on, but then also show the intention of also leaving. And then in that conversation, instead of it saying like so demandingly, I usually be like, I haven't booked my flights just yet. I wanted to get it cleared by you before I make anything official. But I this is very important to me for me to attend. Um, and so like thankfully you're driving, so you'll have like a little bit more leeway as well. But I think if you say like they're not finalized just yet, it doesn't show that you're just telling them that you're doing this. It's like you're part of the conversation as well. Your supervisor is part of the conversation as well. But yeah, I like to tell them like like 5 months ahead of like my 5 month plan. That way I can be like, well, we talked about this earlier. And then 2, I am planning on executing all these other events. So I think this is like worthy of like me taking off during that time.
Yeah, and I would say it takes practice. Like it's not gonna be something, especially if you're a GA, like that's what you take the time to figure out. And your relationship with your supervisor and your coworkers, I think like is a great time to practice it and have these conversations. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be okay. I know it feels scary, but it's really not that scary after you do it a couple times.
The sky won't come falling down.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah, Hannah.
So I kind of have two, but piggybacking off of the wedding question, like in this industry, your schedule's kind of set for you a lot of the time, and so like missing out on things like concerts, weddings, occasionally. What is kind of the mindset that you guys go like forward with when it's like missing out on things in your life?
Do you mean like how do we feel like when we miss out on stuff, or like how do we approach it from like a work?
Like, I guess from both like a work perspective, but also because I mean, there's like things where it's like, yeah, I can't miss this work thing. So it's like I have to miss this personal thing. So it's just kind of the mindset that you guys have when it comes to those kind of things.
Yeah, it's a really great question. I think candidly, I think it's what you prioritize, and I can't answer that question for you. But I think like everyone has things that they're like, okay, I'm not missing this thing, whether it's a personal or professional thing. And then you just got to make, I think, that decision. I think that really helps. Like for example, like if my brother gets married, which I hope he does, which he should, by the way. He's been talking to his girlfriend. They're supposed to move in together, hold aside. But like, point being is like, I wouldn't miss that for anything. I don't care if Oregon's in the national championship game. I'm not gonna miss my brother's wedding, right? Like, that's just something that I would prioritize, right? But if it's my family has a Sunday lunch every month, and I've been to those a million times. And Oregon is playing the national championship game. Maybe I miss out on this one. You know what I mean? I think like it's really figuring out what you're willing to miss and what you're not willing to miss, and being okay with that. Like this past year, my friend, my roommate in college, he was like my best friend in high school. He was my best friend like throughout college. We were roommates, and he was getting married. And he told me it's a long time ago that he was getting married in the fall. Big mistake by his part. Everyone knows you don't do that to your friends, but he did do that. He's not really a college football guy. He loves Manchester United, so shout out to him. But he's like, I'm getting. Oh, I see the face, John. Come on now. I'm a Chelsea guy. I'm a Chelsea guy, but anyway, nonetheless. So like he was getting married on that Saturday. The same Saturday that Oregon was playing Ohio State here at home. And like it was college game day, and it was at the time probably one of the biggest games like of the year. if not of the year. And I was like, sorry guys, like it's my friend's wedding. I can't miss it. So like I let them know super far in advance. Like I put all the work in leading up to it. Like I blocked it off on my calendar so it didn't sneak up on them. I checked in with them every other week, being like, are we good to go? And to be honest, like I didn't see a second of that game. Like well, that's a lie. I saw the last play where Will Howard slowed on the ground, but like I didn't see anything else other than that. And it's like I think I was okay with that. That was something I was perfectly cool with because like I knew I valued my time with my friend in that moment. So I think it's just figuring out what you prioritize and what you're willing to do. I think you can't miss every weekend. I'm not telling you this to be like, all right, I prioritize everything all the time, but like I think just figuring out what works for you. The short answer.
I mean, for me, it's like, yeah, like the big moments and like for like my family and close friends, like I don't want to miss that. But like the one thing that's helped me a lot is like I've communicated with them like, well, like just over the years of like how like I can't miss events. So like when I don't make it to something, they're not just like, what the hell? So like it kind of just like not primes them, but like it just like makes them more understanding. And like usually we find like other ways to like for me to go up there or whatnot. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely like a juggle for sure. But like to like Matthew's point, just like even even if I know like if I have a if I knew there was a wedding coming up in the fall, like and I was 100% going to it, like I would bring it up like right now before any of the planning starts. Because if you do it like that far in advance, like you can make adjustments. As long as it's not like a week before, essentially.
And just to cherry on top of that, it never gets easier, honestly. Because you will feel like you're missing out on key things. But then I just like make peace with it of like how cool our jobs are. And then a lot of the times your family members or your friends are like traveling to come see you and see you execute your different events and jobs. And so like that is very much like how I make peace with things, but saying like exactly what they said of like prioritizing like I know for family members I will always attend their wedding, but like to some friends I probably won't attend their wedding if it's in the fall. So kudos to you, Mathis. But like
He's my
if I had
roommate
the
for 4 years. I could miss his. He was gonna give me grief forever. I could not miss his.
Um, but yeah, just like it doesn't get easier. And like we all know that struggle. And so I think also finding a person that you work with that you could just talk to about it because they are going through the same exact thing that you're going through as well.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like we have the coolest jobs in the world, like for real. Like I don't even mean that lightly. Like I genuinely think that we do. Like it's pretty cool that we get to go meet the people that we meet, go to the places that we get to go to, make the impact that we get to make, like on fans and athletes, and like I think that's like so special, and not everyone gets that opportunity to do that. So I think like my family thinks it's cool that I get to do that. Like Layla said, like they flew out to here and I'm like showing them like I showed them a basketball game I was at and they thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And like that's my everyday. Like that's our everyday. So I think that's just super cool. And I think like you got to take those moments to just appreciate what you have in front of you every day. So, but yeah.
Random fun fact: my sister, when she got engaged, she called me like a week after and was like, "Hey, when do you have events? I want to plan around it." I was like, "Good to know."
Hey, look at that.
So I don't know if that's a
That's a
good thing or
move,
bad thing
man.
that she asked me that. Just to clarify, I would have went to my sister's wedding no matter what. I don't care. But yeah, apparently if you tell family members about it, they make plans around it. So
Dude, shout out to her. That was sick. That's a cool move on her part. That's super cool.
I was like, that is so unnecessary on so many different levels. But
Totally necessary.
Great time. And then was you had a two-part question?
Yeah, I think like thinking about work-life balance is going from like an internship or a GA position to a full-time position. Um, like what was that transition for you guys? Because I feel like right now I have a good work-life balance, but then it's like I know that could get harder in a full-time position. So just like that adjustment of things.
I think learning your boundaries is like really important. And again, kind of going back to what I said before, like your boss is human, not like some evil person who wants to see you suffer. So like I think just like kind of getting ahead of it a little bit and just like understanding like cause it's definitely like hard. in some ways it's harder, in some ways it's easier, because like I feel like as you like get a little bit up the ladder, you might have a little more control of your schedule. I mean, obviously when you're doing like a sport, like yeah, you can't control that. But when you're actually scheduling events for like your interns or whatnot, like you start getting control there. But anyway, yeah, I think just setting boundaries and like being very intentional about it early on, because I think the slippery slope a lot of people fall into is like, oh, I'll deal with it later. And then later becomes a month, and then month becomes 3 months, and then 3 months becomes a year. And it's like, okay, I haven't prioritized it at all. So doing it early, talking to your boss, and like being very intentional about it.
Yeah. I think for me, my transition to GA to full-time staff was I thought it was a lot easier. But I mean, that's because like it's super dependent, like John said, like your boss is human. It's super dependent on where you are. And I think like whenever you go through interview processes and you talk to people and like you get a feel of like work-life balance, I think of what their expectations are and how they treat it, I think is huge. So I think if you find the right people to be around, it's pretty easy, straightforward. Um, it's crazy. Like I feel like once you like go from a GA to a full time, like all of a sudden all this free time frees up because you're doing class and all that stuff, and all of a sudden you're not doing it anymore. I didn't know what to do with my time, to be honest, at first, but I don't think it's too bad. Plus, like if you can make it as a GA, that's probably the hardest pinch point of working in college athletics. At least I think, because like I said, you're expected to be there way more than the hours are listed on your contract, and then you're doing school and events and managing friends and all that kind of stuff. So like it's tough, but I think it's pretty easy going to the next step.
I echo what they say. I mean, like you do a great job balancing school and working and life. You just take out the school part and it's just a little bit more work. But then you start to realize like what are my hobbies? And I still to this day, that's like probably the number one question I mess up on interviews because it's just like I don't want to share walking or like reading, but like what
But
are
that's
my
cool.
hobbies? Yeah.
Walking and reading is cool.
I actually like the more I think about it, I think people actually struggle with like the time. That's like they're just like, oh geez, like what now? So like they almost just like they'll just sit around in their apartment and have no idea what to do. Um, and to that, my recommendation is just start trying shit. Like I never in a million years would have thought I would ever do solid core, and now all of a sudden I'm doing it twice a week. Don't roll your eyes, you're doing it too.
John also decided to start guitar lessons.
I,
So
I did guitar lessons.
That's
There's
so
a
cool.
guitar back there.
That's so cool.
Who cares? Like, try it. Like, even if like you're just like, I think there's about a 1% chance I like this. What if the 1% chance hits? Like, just do it. Like honestly, I just like it because I get exposed to different experiences. I get exposed to like different things. You meet a lot of different people. How if you try something and like all of a sudden you're like, I don't like it, but you make a friend out of it. Great. Like that's awesome. Um, like it's like just I mean, post school life is just really weird because like you're not. It's like the first time in your life. It's just not like here, follow this exact schedule, meet with these exact people, this exact time, and all that. Um, so it's like something that's definitely a challenge in that sense.
but then
Yeah.
you're also factoring in like adult money now. Not
Yeah,
that like not adult money, but like full-time position money. And you're just like, oh, this provides me opportunities to do other things. So
Yeah.
it's hard,
Yeah.
but it's great. Any other questions about anything? Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so I was talking to some other marketing professionals as well, and they told me like biggest piece of advice for like trying to figure out time off and stuff is like asking in interviews when you're applying for jobs. So how would one go about like asking when you're applying for a job, like asking them like, hey, what does time off look like, and what's kind of your motto on that? Or would I just ask that?
I think the question I would typically ask is just like, what's like the work life? I would just pretty much flat out ask them like, what's the work life balance? Like within the or what you call it, the department. Because because honestly, their answer is going to be very telling, in my opinion. So like, if they go right away to just like, oh, we give you plenty of time off, like there's like you get 20 days off a year, and like if you ever got to work from home, like yeah, great. But if like they're much more uptight about it, like they're just like, it's like you got 10 days, but like it's a long process, and like we need them in the office all the time. Um, because like that's something where they might not ever give you a direct answer, in my opinion, to like exactly what you're looking for. But you can kind of pick up clues. Like that's the one, like it's like a whenever you're interviewing places, it's like a weird dance where like you're trying to get information, but they don't want to give it. Um, and so I feel like I typically just ask the more blanket one because you can also tell by the reaction as well. Like if they're like almost like not annoyed, but like caught off guard by it, that's usually not the best sign. But if they're like very open and like very like transparent about it, that's usually a very positive sign.
I I actually brought this up in an interview where like I was in the final stages, but I was just like, hey, work-life balance is really important to me because I've seen my brother sacrifice different events in order to maintain his job. And I don't want to be in the same type of situation where I feel succumb to that type of pressure. And so if I wanted to take off for a wedding or just take off for time for myself, what does that look like? And how do I go about that? Because then you're expressing how work-life balance is important to you, but then they can also recite how they view time off and how they expect to be asked for time off and such and all of that type of stuff.
I also think when you ask it is important. Like that shouldn't be your first question on an interview, better or worse. Like if somebody asked me that the first question, I'm not raising a red flag, but like I know people who would 100% be like, oh no, no, no. Like I remember when I was first going through the process, my sister was like, don't even bring it up until like you get the offer, which I don't agree with at all. But you can listen to my sister's advice if you want to. So yeah, I would say like your first couple questions should be more just like about the job and trying to just get a better understanding of that, and then like if it's a multi-round interview, I would just save it for the later round, and then if it's just one interview, make it like one of your last questions.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I would just second the stuff they say. It really does feel like a dance when you're trying to ask those questions, but I think it's whatever you're the most comfortable with.
Oh, Dale.
Are y'all all GAs? No. Are y'all interns?
Yeah, I'm technically considered a marketing assistant, I think, so it's just one step up from an intern, but below
I
all my
got
boss.
you. I got you.
I'm actually an assistant director.
Oh, nice.
Hey,
I just
where
like
at?
work-life balance. I'm at Baylor.
Oh,
Baylor?
nice.
That's
I
cool.
know your DJ, DJ Elusive.
I love Elusive.
Yeah,
He's really
Alicia's
cool.
the man.
Oh yeah, we all have Elusive.
Alicia's the
Everyone has
man.
elusive.
Alicia's that guy.
He never stops moving.
He never stops moving. He never stops talking about music. That guy loves DJ.
I get a lot of music recommendations from him, even for like my personal life.
Yeah, he's
Nice.
locked in. He's super locked in. He's super cool. Yeah.
And Charmaine, what about you?
I'm a GA at NDSU. So Mathis, I'm pretty sure your old boss is my current boss, Cam Bastion. So
Yeah. Small world. It's an insanely small world.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I
actually
just
talked about you a couple of times. So
look at that. I hope he didn't forget about me. I actually talked to him like 2 days ago on the phone for a little bit.
really nice.
Yeah. What a guy.
Well,
Hannah, where
does
you?
anyone? Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Hannah, where you at? What school?
I'm at Oregon State.
Oh,
Ooh,
nice.
Oregon State. Ooh,
Like the Beavers, right?
Yes,
ooh.
yeah.
So actually my coworker is leaving to take a full-time position there. So
Oh, do you know what position it is?
yeah, coordinator for Learfield.
Okay, yep, yeah, that's
So
awesome. So what's their name?
her name's Glynis.
Glennis.
Yeah. I'm sad she's leaving. She brings a
Wait.
really good energy to the office and everything. And she's my only female coworker, so now I'm gonna be stuck with all men.
Oh, well, I'm excited to meet her. That sounds awesome.
She's awesome. You'll love her, I'm sure.
Does anybody have any other questions, comments, concerns out there? Very cool. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining. I know it's a small group, but we really appreciate you guys joining, and hopefully we'll see you guys in passing, and hopefully work-life balance gets better for all of us.
Thank you, guys.
Amazing. Thank you.